So here it is. It is the end of October. Today I got a special treat for you do-it-yourselfers who like to make your own crafts and your own products. We're in Mom's garden. This is not my garden, this is my mother's. Her garden is pretty much done for the year. And what I found out is she actually is growing sage and lavender. We have the white sage that Native Americans and Middle Easterners and those who practice yoga actually use to smudge. And we got some lavender. Okay, so we're in the garden now. And this particular variety of plant right here is the white sage. Go ahead and rub some on my fingers. Yeah, it's very aromatic. That's what we're going to be harvesting today. One thing when you harvest these, especially if you think they're going to come back next year, is you don't want to pull the roots, and you also do not want to cut them down all the way to the roots, because you want to have something that's going to spring up. So I'm going to get my clippers out. This is actually English thyme that she had growing down there. So the English thyme is actually edible, but I'm still going to go ahead and use it in my sprays, because a lot of this is past prime. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the thyme, and this just goes to show that you can grow your own herbs for cooking and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest all of the white sage, because for my projects I am going to need a lot of it. I'm going to be making room sprays, and it's going to take pretty much everything I have left in here, and I'm just going to throw them right into the same box. And like I said, I'm not going to cut all the way down to the ground, just in case this does winter over. As you can see right now, I'm not really being too neat, because I'm not going to save any of this plant. Normally, if it was during the summer, I would just probably harvest a few leaves at a time so that the rest can grow. But we almost had a frost last night, so like I said, I just want to harvest everything before it gets too late to use it. And she's also got some growing in a pot here. So I did find the lavender plants here in the driveway. Unfortunately, this time of year, they have already flowered, and while they still got an aroma to them, it's very subdued right now. Yeah, it's pretty much past season on these, so there's really not much scent left. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, clip off all these flowers. It's not going to bloom anymore. I don't know if the camera is actually picking this up, but I've already got some dead stalks in here. So I'm just going to try to find some that's left. Hi everyone, so now we're in the studio. Native Americans will smudge, which will be to burn sage, and they'll let the smoke cover their body. They'll walk room to room. The smoke come up. This way here, it gets rid of all negative energy, gets rid of negative spirits. Middle Easterners and also people who practice yoga will actually kind of do the same thing to give them that calming nature. And even when you do it with Native American beliefs, it does bring a calming nature to you. So it helps calm the spirit. It helps with just releasing all the negative energy in your body. And what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to show you how to make the room spray and body spritz, which is an alternative to smudging. Now, the reason why we're making the alternative spray today is there are people who are asthmatics, they have bronchitis, maybe they just don't want to deal with the smoke. So there's been some back and forth as to whether or not spritzing and room spray has the same effect. Most have come to the conclusion that it does have the same calming nature. Some say it's not as powerful, others people say it is. So I'm going to show you how to make up the room spray and the spritz. I'm going to do several different types. I'm going to do the pure sage. I'm going to do thyme. I'm going to do lavender. And then I'm going to do a mixture of all those. So the materials that we're actually going to use to make this is, first you got to have warm water, white distilled vinegar. Now unfortunately I wanted to get the gallon size, but they didn't have it, so these little bottles I had to buy a bunch of them. We're also going to put in pure sea salt. Some people use the pink Himalayan salt, but this particular recipe calls for pure sea salt. And then we also got the thyme, the lavender, and the white sage that I just picked and cut up, which is actually in the box down below my feet. So I got my bottles all pre-labeled. As you can see, there's one right here. And the mixture actually calls for a cup of warm water, 1 cup of the vinegar, 3/4 teaspoon of the sea salt, and also it just says a bunch of the sage, lavender. Once all this recipe is put together, you will let it sit, and then you can go ahead and put it in these little spritzer bottles to give away as gift. Preferably you want to use glass because the oil will leach into the plastic. Unfortunately, plastic was all I could find. I am not actually going to put them into these bottles until it gets closer to Christmas time and I give away as a gift. So let's go ahead and start making up our mixture. Off camera, I started going ahead and heating up my water. Now we want the water warm, we don't want it boiling. We're not making soup and we're not making tea. So while that's warming up, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the ingredients in the bottles. Now when it says to put a bunch, it doesn't really say how much a bunch is. Now I went ahead and lined my entire table with a rag just in case things tend to get a little bit messy. So I got a bunch of sage in my first bottle. I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera. I'm going to fill up the rest of the bottles with the actual herbs, and then I'll be right back with you. We went ahead and we filled all the bottles with the herbs. They're all ready to go. Now it said a bunch of herbs, but it really didn't tell me how much the bunch actually is. So I'm going to go ahead and move these off to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and begin filling these with the other ingredients, which is the distilled vinegar and the sea salts. Now of these little bottles of the distilled vinegar, I know half of it is 1 cup. I've got my water off the stove. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add 3/4 tablespoon of the sea salt to each of the bottles first. And while I was at Hobby Lobby, I found this awesome little beaker, pouring cup, measuring cup. I've never seen one that has such a small, narrow tip for crafts. So this is going to be totally awesome. Sea salt first. My half cup of vinegar, actually my whole cup of vinegar, which is about half the bottle. Grab my first jar. Go ahead and pour that in there. I need to go ahead and push this down into the liquid. It's all at the top. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab a cup of water. And pour it into my plastic one so I can dissolve more of that salt. And then go ahead and, so I'm going to go ahead then now do each of the bottles, and I'm going to see how much vinegar and water I have left over as far as doubling the amount to fill this. So screw the cap on it. Just give it a little bit of a shake. Oh wow. Smell that aroma releasing already. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the process with all the other bottles. Alright, well, we're back, and I actually finished my bottles, and I had enough ingredients to actually double the recipe to fill 32-ounce bottles. So I doubled the recipe. So in here is 2 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of water, and 2 3/4 tablespoons of pure sea salt. So we got the lavender sage thyme, we have the lavender thyme, we have the straight lavender, we have the straight sage, we have the straight thyme, got a big mason jar full of the lavender sage, which is going to smell really, really good. So the next step to this is these need to sit in a cool place overnight to let the oils all extract in. So I've got a place that I can put it as my attic stairs, because it has to be cool and dark for the next 12 hours. So I'm going to go ahead, put those on the stairs and clean up my table, and we'll check back tomorrow and see what exactly these jars look like. Well, good morning. It's been 12 hours that these jars have been sitting in a cold, dark place infusing. Really not much to show at this point. It has not changed any colors. They're still pretty much clear, the liquid. Not sure if the liquid's going to change colors or not. Now, I went ahead and opened up a couple of jars already this morning, and most of them you can start smelling that aromatic infusion where you get the scent from the herbs that are in each one of these, and the vinegar smell is starting to dissipate. What I'm going to do this morning to help the process along is I'm going to take a wooden spoon and I'm going to insert it into the jar and just mash down some of the herbs. This way here, it helps release more of the oils, and then these will go back into a cool, dark place for another 12 hours to infuse again. And then I'm just going to go ahead, let them sit for a few weeks before I start transferring them into the bottles for giving away as gifts for the room spray and the spritzes. So, okay, so because some of these bottles are a little bit full, I got my beaker here that I can just go ahead and pour out some of the liquid so I don't spill everywhere. I have a towel down just in case of drippage, and I got my paper towel. Found something long enough to use. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first bottle. And then this one here is just the lavender. It's starting to smell the infusion. Just a little bit. Now, if it was earlier in the season, I actually had the lavender flowers. That would actually have more oils in it than just the leaves. So we'll see if how aromatic this gets. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of the mixture out, pour it into my beaker, and then I'm just gonna take the rod, start mashing down some of these leaves to help infuse and release more of the oil. So I don't know how well the camera is actually picking up what's going on, but as I mash this down, I've got bubbles coming up. That's the air and the oil releasing from the herbs that are in there. Got that one done. And yes, we're gonna have pieces that break off and float around. When I pour it into the bottles that I'm gonna give away as gifts and the spritzes and that, I'm actually gonna strain it so that there are no particles floating around. And as you can see, with it sitting in the bottom now, as opposed to floating around, that's also gonna help with the infusion. So the next one I got is my lavender sage thyme mixture. That one's starting to smell really good. Now, I did speak with my mom, and everything that she grows is culinary, and she's been eating it. So, but this time of year, I'm not gonna do that. If my plants do root, I might go ahead and try cooking different things with it. Also, Ocean State Job Lot, which is local to me, sells seeds year round. So I am gonna look and see if I can find some different herbs and start growing them in the house over the winter. Also, my mom did tell me the sage that she grows actually comes back every year, including in the pot. That does winter over good here in New England, even if it does get cold. Now, I kind of figured what was in the garden, because those roots are in the ground, would winter over good, but she said even the one in the pot winters over good, comes back every year. As far as her lavender goes, my stepfather had told me to, use whatever I want in the garden. But my mom kind of got a face when she found out that I cut her lavender. Apparently, they have a hard time finding lavender, and it doesn't come back every year up here in New England like she would like, as opposed to when I was living in North Carolina, that stuff grew like crazy. So I'm gonna have my own lavender plants in the future. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my bottles and jars. Looking back, I probably should have bought more of these mason jars than those actual bottles, only because I could not get a wooden spoon in there, but now that I got the dowel. Okay, so this is the last one I'm gonna do on the camera, is the lavender sage. That's starting to smell pretty good too. So again, I don't know if it's picking up any of the bubbles it's releasing. So let me show you something real quick. This is a bottle that I had just went ahead and crushed the herbs, as opposed to a bottle that I haven't done it with. You can see the bottle that I crushed the herbs is actually getting more cloudy. So that's the oils that are releasing. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my bottles, and then I'm gonna put them back in their cool, dark location for another 12 to 24 hours to let them infuse more. I hope you like these videos. It's a little bit different than my usual outdoor stuff, but I'm showing you also how to bring nature into your house so that you can continue to enjoy the outdoors and nature all year long. Try to use our natural resources to the best of our ability. Grow your own herbs, pretty much anything outdoor related. So it's a little bit different video than I normally do. Hope you like it. If you'd like to see more, please comment down below. Let me know. Like, subscribe. Hoping to maybe bring some cooking to the channel as well, outdoor cooking or cooking from nature. We'll see how that goes. We're getting into the winter months now, so I'm not really going to be able to get much outdoor ingredients that shortly, but we'll go ahead and end this, and we'll see you in the next video.